picking his teeth with some bones and playing around with a large skull that, as they imply via Google image...
Wait! Didn't it actually show us Scar eating your own brother? We're uncovering the darkest secrets today.
Speaking of bones, recently a new theory has cropped up on the internet, TikTok specifically, suspecting that...
What theory did y'all expect? Did y'all ever expect the theory anybody tell us?
The Lion King might be holding a dark secret in plain sight. And no, it's not the leaves in the wind spelling out some secret message. Wait, what do they say? Pause the video. Pat is king? Wow. Who knew that a 1994 Disney classic would have so much respect for me? No, friends, today, online theorists are asking the question that no one ever thought they needed an answer for. What happened to Mufasa's body after he died? Namely, did...
After Mufasa got thrown off that cliff, what the Scar did with Mufasa's body, or did the hyena eat Mufasa's body?
Scar eat his dead brother. Ladies and gentlemen, bear those teeth and ambitions because it's Morty.
I can't believe if lions actually do eat the dead corpse of their own kind.
The TikTokers Classy King Zero and Not Alexis lol presented an incredibly compelling theory that really got the internet's brains a-working. Here's what they noticed. In the movie, Mufasa dies by falling from a cliff during a wildebeest stampede. Simba discovers his father's dead body, not realizing that evil Uncle Scar was the one that caused the entire situation. Scar convinces him that he'll be blamed for the quote-unquote act.
So Scar did actually say that. And I think it was like around the end point, that was Simba finally realized who actually did it.
And that he should flee, then sends his 3 main hyena henchmen to chase him down, which they fail to do because no one is good at their freaking jobs, not even in the animal kingdom. Come back, editors, come back. I didn't mean you. You guys are great. You guys are great. The last time we see Mufasa's physical body, Scar is standing next to it while Simba and the hyenas run away. Scar returns to tell the rest of Pride Rock that Mufasa and Simba are both dead, which apparently they accept without question, despite the fact that Scar sounds like the most obviously evil guy of all time.
So, how none of y'all actually understand and actually put picture and picture together?
Quiver with fear.
Now, Scar, don't look at me that way.
Anyway, fast forward through some coming-of-age business, eating bugs, blah, blah. Never really liked the Timon and Pumbaa section, to be honest. Forget Hakuna Matata, 9-year-old Matt Pat was all about the political intrigue. Anyway, about 48 minutes into the movie, we get our first cut back to the Pride Land so we can see how poorly things are going under Scar's rule. I feel like most people probably remember this scene for this bit.
Sing something with a little bounce in it.
It's a small world after all.
No! Anything but that.
Because Disney doing self-parody at the time was new, as opposed to something they do literally.
Was it new? Or did Disney used to been doing like self-parody all the time?
Every movie now. But what these TikTokers call out in their short little mini theory is Scar picking his teeth with some bones and playing around with a large skull that, as they imply via Google image search.
No, you're lying. You're lying. This is definitely not true.
Looks very much like a lion skull. Add to that the fact that hyenas apparently don't tend to eat lions, but other lions do, and you've suddenly got yourself the connection that suggests...
If y'all ever knew that lions eat their own kind, then y'all are definitely smarter than me.
Something much more sinister. They think that the skull is actually that of Mufasa himself, and that it's evidence that Scar not only killed his brother, but cannibalized the evidence and kept his bones as a trophy. Now that's nasty, but is it true? Well, we asked the world's top experts on lion behavior, but those people are really expensive, so instead we looked it up on the internet, which is free, and probably just as good. So let's start by looking beyond just the headlines presented to us in this TikTok. Forgive me if I'm a wee bit skeptical of the evidence here being a one-line summary from the Google results of a mental floss article. The theory here really hinges on 3 main details. 1, that hyenas don't eat lions. 2, that lions eat lions. And 3, that this
So it does make sense. So, if you said in a second theory, lion eat lion, then it actually makes sense like, so a lion die, a lion go back and eat their own kind. Isn't that
is
like
indeed a
cannibalism?
lion skull. So first, do hyenas eat lions? Well, despite the fact that Classy King's text says that hyenas don't usually eat lions, the article he's showing in the background doesn't say that at all. In fact, that whole article says nothing about whether or not a hyena will eat a lion. Instead, what he's highlighted in his TikTok is talking about hyenas eating lion leftovers, i.e. whether hyenas follow lions around to eat the remnants of their meals, which, fun fact, they do, but it's not as common as media would lead you to believe. Yes, hyenas are scavengers, but they also get the vast majority of their food by hunting for themselves, and that is why I don't believe Disney movies.
So they like the hunties. They hunt for their prey. They don't let the prey run and die.
Or TikTokers, but okay, still
I
doesn't
guess
address
I'm
the question,
saying
would
something
hyenas
right,
eat
but
a dead lion?
who knows?
And the answer to
I
that
just
is yes,
asked you
yes, they
theories.
absolutely would.
That
To them,
probably
meat
true
is
or
meat
not
is meat.
true.
Based on all of my research, spotted hyenas, which is the species that we see in The Lion King, they're not picky eaters. They're willing and eager to eat everything from zebras to birds to reptiles to bugs. Heck, they're even capable of eating
really pay attention to them hyena. Oh, the hyena laugh is so stupid. But one thing I gotta say about hyenas is they rather eat any kind of animal. They don't care what animal it is.
Rotten meat without getting sick. Hyenas are pretty much garbage disposals with legs. As such, a fresh lion carcass would be the equivalent of a steak dinner for them. So already it's highly likely that if presented with opportunity, the hyenas would absolutely have eaten Mufasa. But here's the twist. If they had, you wouldn't know it. You see, hyenas practice osteophagy. They eat bones. Animals do this to supplement their diet with calcium and phosphorus that their bodies might be lacking. And for hyenas, they leave no part of their meal wasted, with strong biting jaws and highly acidic stomachs that are able to break down bone efficiently. A pack of hyenas can entirely devour a 400-pound zebra, 180 kilograms.
Whoa! Alright, that kind of smart to actually understand. A pack of hyenas can eat that much of a zebra? Jeez.
In less than 25 minutes, leaving behind nothing.
25 minutes?
Nothing but red stains on the ground. So, well, yes, they would have eaten Mufasa gladly. The fact that his bones might still be around imply that maybe they didn't. Which brings us to question number 2, would a lion eat another lion? In the TikTok, we see Classy King's Google search for what animals eat lions. What's hidden behind those search result drop-downs, though, are the actual results. And I'm here to show them to ya. The top search result comes from whateats.com. Where we see the following quote right there in the evidence box. Quote, lions have almost no predators. However,
lions have almost no predator. However, old sick lion or sometimes. But why is it hyena? Hold up a minute.
Old sick lions are sometimes attacked, killed, and eaten by hyenas, which flies directly in the face of the earlier observation in the TikTok about hyenas.
That gotta be wrong.
And people try to accuse me of skewing the facts in order to fit my theories. TikTok, you shameless. Anyway, well, the evidence of a Mufasa hyena feast keeps stacking up. Digging deeper into the facts, you see that no, lions in fact do not tend to eat other lions, except in the most extreme of circumstances. In fact, this
So, I might be wrong about this, or I might be right. But I thought lions don't eat lions, and I was thinking right.
Question was asked of Derek and Beverly Joubert, wildlife documentarians studying lions on the podcast Fresh Air.
But if a lion kills a lion, will the lion eat?
No, the lion will not eat another lion. And in fact, often the lions won't even eat other predators. So if they kill a hyena, they won't eat it either, unless they are in absolute desperate times, maybe at death's door. Lions really don't...
So lions only eat their prey if they're like desperate and need to eat it. But if they're not desperate, they ain't going to eat their prey. I don't understand what that kind of represents.
Eat other predators.
But I mean, if they're dead already, they still won't eat them.
No, they don't.
And you can trust them. They have British accents. The reason why is that it just doesn't yield a reward versus effort food ratio that makes it worth hunting one another. Lions are violent creatures that are hard to kill. Why put yourself at risk trying to eat one when you could just try and chase down another helpless zebra? As far as I could tell, cannibalism...
Oh, so that what you trying to say? It's like, why are you trying to go for a biggest animal that's bigger than you or in the same rank as you? If you can just go for someone that are weaker and easy to kill.
Lions is very, very rare, only happening in cases of desperate hunger and almost never with an adult male consuming another adult male. More often, it's sometimes with lions killing and eating the cubs of a rival, which again doesn't really help us in the case of Mufasa's missing body. The most famous case of lion cannibalism actually came with the Paw brothers, a group of 6 male lions who, over the course of 16 years, just roamed around a massive South African national park declaring their dominance by killing off entire prides. They were like the biker gang of apex predators. If this was The Walking Dead, they'd be like the Saviors gang. The 6 members of the Paw brothers even had...
If this was The Walking Dead, out of any animal, you can trust a lion in The Walking Dead. The lion will probably be the #1 animal that you will actually have your back.
Names. There was the leader Makulu, Rasta, Pretty Boy, Kinky Tail, Mr. T, who pitied the fool, and wouldn't you know it, but none other than Scar. But despite our theory today, it was Mr. T who was the cannibal of the bunch, eating young cubs from rival prides. But again, a super rare instance and not an adult male eating another adult male. Also, just to throw this in here as a side note, a later scene in the TikTok theory shows the quote that Kinky Tail, one of the Mapago 6, was eventually killed and eaten by a rival tribe of lions. I looked into that blog post, the writer, and the death of Kinky Tail, which is part of a larger documentary on that exact lion pack, and there's actually no evidence of the lion being eaten. Even the author of the blog walks back his language.
So there's nothing that connect to the eating part.
A comment on the post itself, so I'd take that one with a hefty grain of salt. But who knows? Maybe Scar, the movie lion and not the South African lion bully, just really is that vindictive that he wants to dunk on his dead royal brother by dunking his brother's body in stomach acid. Which leaves us with our third and final question: is that even a lion skull in the scene? No, 0 for 3 on this one.
Hey, I always look at that skull and say, there's no way that lion scar. And I still think that right now, that's not a lion scar on her head. That's not even a lion
TikTok theory. You see, lion classification is pretty simple in the fact that there's only one species of lion out there, the Panthera leo. And from there have historically only been 2 subspecies, African lions and Asian lions, which was recently reorganized a bit, but still fairly simple breakdown. And because of that, the skulls of lions all tend to look the same. Relatively short muzzle, large nasal cavities, big orbital holes for the eyes. I'll admit, the skull in the movie does, at first glance, look similar to the Google image results for lion skull. But we're also talking about a second or 2 of footage from a TikTok. Anything could look similar in that amount of time. Look closer.
Anything can look similar. Like, we're going all and base off a TikTok theory. So we're not going to base off real evidence.
And you see that the muzzle of the skull in the movie is a lot of teeth. Lions have 3 types of teeth. Incisors, small teeth at the front of the mouth for ripping and tearing. Big canine teeth, those long, sharp teeth that are used as weapons to capture and kill prey. And a 3rd type of tooth called the carnassial. Large, modified molar teeth found in the back of the mouth, which work like scissors to cut the large chunks of meat into smaller bits. It's actually a lesson that I taught Oliver the other day. Carnivores tend to have sharp teeth because they need to rip and tear meat. Herbivores have flat teeth for grinding plants. And what do we see in the skull that Scar is holding? Sure, there's one big canine in there, but everything else is a lot of small, flat teeth with 2 oversized incisors.
So this is not a meat eater. This is definitely like a plant healthy based animal. So Scar probably not holding Mufasa's head. He's holding some other animal head.
At the front of the mouth. Notice that there's no secondary fangs, no prominent bottom jaw, and most notably of all, none of those weirdly shaped carnassial teeth in the back for chopping meat. Now compare that skull with the skull of a primate, like, say, a baboon. Notice the oversized front incisors, the smaller flat molars towards the back of the mouth, the overall longer muzzle that gives the entire skull a more elongated shape. I don't know about you, but that seems like a much closer match to what we're seeing biologically. In short, our TikTok theory stood upon 3 major points, and not a single one of them panned out. Not one. Hyenas will eat dead lions. Lions will attack and chew, but tend not to eat other adult lions, even when in territorial disputes. And the skull we're seeing probably isn't even a lion skull. Any way you slice it, this theory is done. Plus,
don't tell me that the theory done, because I still want to understand where is Mufasa's body at. what happened to his body? Don't finish.
Even if we ignore all of that and assume Scar did try to eat Mufasa, he wouldn't have been able to do it all at once. Even the largest male lions will typically only eat about 16 pounds, 7.25 kilos of food in a day. In reality, lion packs will sometimes stay close to a kill for a decent amount of time to fend off scavengers until they've completely finished it. In other words, Scar couldn't have sat down and gobbled up his big bro on the DL before jetting off to Pride Rock to make himself the new king. He'd have to have done it over the course of several days. But our last bit of evidence against this theory comes not from science, but from the story. Here's the thing. The reason we can even do something like this for a 20-plus-year-old Disney cartoon about talking lions and not for a lot of other talking animal movies.
Why?
I want you to go out and kill.
Kill!
Huh?
Wow. Air Bud was a lot darker than I remember. Is that Lion King?
Have y'all ever seen Air Bud? I don't even think I actually watched Air Bud. And if I did, I don't even remember Air Bud even saying anything about killing him.
Actually has a philosophical core to what happens in the movie.
Everything you see exists together in a delicate balance. When we die, our bodies become the grass, and the antelope eat the grass. And so we are all connected in the great circle of life.
That is barely 20 seconds of dialogue from the great James Earl Jones, and it is some heavy stuff.
That's barely like 20-second dialogue, 20 seconds of like proof, and what we really need to actually focus and see that going on.
For a kid's movie. But Mufasa isn't just hanging a lampshade on the whole, yeah, we totally ate like half those guys in the front row from that christening after the Elton John song, but he's also setting up the transcendental naturalism of this movie's story. The philosophy that we have to accept death as a part of life because it's a part of the overall natural life cycle. He's describing nature as a cyclical food chain, positioning the proper death for apex predators like himself and Simba as becoming the grass, which, just so we're on the same page here, actually means that they become fertilizer for the grass after their bodies are eaten by vultures, insects, worms, and, well, anything else that wants a crack at them.
So that probably makes sense. That probably makes sense when Mufasa's body being gone. Or are you just saying that because you want something to, like, go on with the theory?
Or, you know, his dead carcass just rots away in the hot sun of the African Serengeti. Think about that for your childhood hero. In other words, Mufasa's view of how the circle of life...
It doesn't matter if you're an animal, human, but when that body sit there for way too long after death, it rottens so bad, it gives out that bad smell, and it just looks disgusting.
Is supposed to work wouldn't just be that his dying is natural, but that his being eaten after dying is natural too. Maybe not by his jerk brother, ideally, but by something. However, the whole second and third act plot of The Lion King hinges strongly on the implication that his murder is such a fundamental...
What's the whole plot of the whole Lion King? There gotta be like a plot or something that means something of Lion King.
Mental violation to the proper order of the Pride Lands that it actually puts nature and the world itself out of balance. Symbolically, that balance begins to be restored not when Simba defeats Scar, but when Scar himself gets eaten. Go back and watch the ending again. Rain.
Yeah. Bro, Scar actually did got eaten by the hyena. Like, if you don't pay attention to the ending of the Lion King, you'll understand.
Out the dramatic final battle fire, but also to restore life after a drought, doesn't technically return when Simba wins. It only comes after Scar himself gets eaten by the hyenas. Oh wait, there's a lion getting eaten by a hyena. Forgot to put that moment in your TikTok theory, huh? Now again, this is magical realism in action, so it's not exactly proof of anything, but if we were to extrapolate a specific mechanic to all of this, we could infer that not only did Scar not eat Mufasa, but maybe nobody...
If that didn't really prove to you if Scar actually ate Mufasa, then what did Cosmo broke? What rule did he broke in the third rule book?
Annoying if it's not the right person.
Whoa, Wanda, really? Wait, she said not the right person.
This show was unhinged in all the best ways.
Oops, sorry, Dad.
Oh, don't worry about it, Timmy. My dreams were shattered years ago.
How many years ago?
How old are you?
And why not? It's a show about a little boy named Timmy Turner with...
Timmy Turner 10. So that means your dream was shattered 10 years ago.
2 fairy godparents that can grant his every wish. Sounds awesome.
Finally,
it do sound awesome. If y'all have fairy godparents same thing, fairy opulent, like, what will y'all wish for?
Models! Can you guys make cookies? Super cookies!
Huh.
Or, I suppose, not every wish. You see, the fairy godparents do have some limitations on what wishes they can and can't grant, all of which are outlined in a magical
rule that I know the fairies can't actually do is make love. Like, they can't make someone forcibly fall in love with you. Only Cupid can.
Document known simply as
that one thing I know.
In fact, the show goes to great lengths to explain the rigorous training that fairy godparents have to endure so that the rules never get broken. And that makes sense, right? Every magic system has to have rules. 3 wishes for a genie, no wishing for more wishes, no making people fall in love. All the classic stuff. So the world of the...
You can't make no one fall in love. Like all the classic, all fairies and genies always say that.
Fairly Odd Parents shouldn't be that different, right? Right?
Yeah.
You know, when I start asking rhetorical questions like that, it's because the answer probably isn't as obvious as it seems. Nope, loyal theorists, after watching the show, maybe a bit too intently for a children's cartoon, it's become clear to me that the rules are actually more like the big fat lies. Lies perpetuated by a muscle-bound guardian preparing the fairy world for war. Don't believe me? Grab your wands, your wings, and floaty crown things. It's time to wish for some answers. So first, let's set some context. What's exactly in the rules?
According to the rules, fairy godparents only grant wishes to kids!
As I just talked about, the rules are a collection of guidelines that determine what wishes a fairy god...
So, we hear they only can grant wishes to kids. So, you gotta be about, I'll say 16 and younger. If you over the age of 16, they're not granting your wishes, right? Hey, look that up and tell me if that's true.
Parent can and can't grant their godkids. On the surface, a lot of the rules make perfect sense. Fairies can't grant a wish that intentionally kills or hurts someone. No wishes for money, no wishes that interfere with love, no wishes that help cheat in competitions, no wishes for anyone except the godchild. And above all else, a godchild must never ever reveal the existence of their fairies to anyone else.
So you can't reveal the existence to any other people that don't know you have fairy. Even if they have fairy of their own, you can't tell them.
Otherwise, they're gonna lose their fairies, their memories, and reverse every wish they've ever had. It's a pretty harsh system, but then again, it seems sensible for upholding the structure of this magical world. We're told in the show that a fairy's primary purpose is to bring joy, and the rules help prevent any wishes that might result in a net negative of joy. Plus, to help make sure that a godkid doesn't unintentionally break a rule, there are safeguards in place. The wish won't get granted, and instead the fairy's wand dims, wilts, and then makes a fart sound.
I will prove my whimsy when I change you into a...
In general, it seems safe to say that the rules are fundamental to fairy society, with the first rules having been drafted long ago by the council, 4 ancient and powerful fairies that rule over the fairy world. But the rules also seem to be a living document, with new rules getting added all the time. For instance, you cannot wish for every day to be Christmas, which got added after Timmy wished for...
You can't wish every day is Christmas. But didn't Timmy was the one who actually wishes that? So... how that a rule that Timmy broke?
Exactly that, and things got messy in a hurry.
Wow! They've added a new
so
rule.
Basically, y'all put new rules in there. If
But the more you watch the show, the more something feels off about the rules. Some of them are just nonsensical, like magic can't be used on invisible teachers, sleeping clowns, French New Wave filmmakers, and anyone who wears clear glasses as a fashion statement. It's certainly weird, for sure, but it's not bad. Others are just simply inconvenient, like the fact that breakfast-related wishes are denied after 10:30 a.m. But then there are the rules that are just flat-out dangerous. For example, fairies must always attempt to grant the wishes of their godchildren, even if they just offhandedly say, I wish.
So, if your godkid, right, accidentally say, I wish, and then mean the wish, you gotta grant it regardless on if they wish for something stupid?
Doesn't even matter if they're conscious or not.
Wish, go, Vicky!
On top of that, there are these massive loopholes into rules that Timmy often demonstrates throughout the show.
Jorgen said whatever's in the book is a rule, so...
Timmy Turner doesn't have to follow any of the rules!
This then becomes a huge problem in one episode with Timmy making all sorts...
Alright, Cosmo, you're slow. I think that Cosmo have to be so slow that he don't understand the mentality that Timmy do to him.
Sorts of rule-breaking wishes for money, to win multiple reality show
I can see why
competitions,
he,
and for his
always
crush to fall in love with him. He later writes that no fairy god kids have to follow the rules either, thereby causing the rules to almost self-destruct and destroy the entire universe.
Oh.
Every rule-free wish destabilizes the book.
So basically, what it is when Timmy say no fairy god kid have to follow the rule, it break the rule book because now everybody is wishing things that it beyond the rule book, things that it on the rule book, but they gonna wish it anyway because they don't got fallen.
The book explodes, so does the universe.
It's pretty horrifying, right? So the rules then are clearly responsible for holding together the fabric of reality, and yet that just flat out isn't true. See, magic and wish granting aren't powers that are exclusive to fairies in this world, and throughout the series we see other magical creatures completely ignore basic fundamental principles. Take for instance the anti-fairies, who are all about causing bad luck and pain in ways that break the rules. There are also
like,
genies who basically don't follow.
They're like the opposite of the fairies, and they like do the opposite of what they say. So if I say I want to skateboard on the top of the skyscraper, right? Then they'll do an opposite of it, of me skateboarding, but skateboard on something dangerous.
Any rules, even their limit on 3 wishes, isn't real.
And I can't use my last wish to wish for more wishes, can I?
We tell everyone they can't, but really you can.
Some humans have also gained the ability to wield magic, like the wizard Merlin.
So, we can actually wish for more wishes. It's just the genies be telling us we can't because they don't want to grant more wishes for us. That kind of messed up. Why can't y'all even just
and all he uses his powers for is to help his nephew Arthur win competitions and become royalty, a direct violation of the rule against cheating.
The fairy can't even do that.
Then there are the pixies, who are just as magical as the fairies, but treat magic as a business. All of their wish granting is seen as transactional, with bureaucratic rules and red tape that controls everything. And
like,
just like any good corrupt business,
not corrupt the business, but obtain the business. How can I put the business on top of the mountain with the wishes? And that would the pixie do.
Man, the powerful ones aren't above bending and breaking their own rules to get ahead. During a mini-golf competition that's subject to important contractual obligations, several pixies break the rules and cheat to help the head pixie
but they
win.
break their rules
And yet, despite all of this rule breaking, the universe stays intact. But okay, maybe that's just other creatures breaking the rules. Maybe fairies operate by a different form of logic or a different code of magic. Maybe their magic is different and disconnected from the rest. Well, that's not true either. First of all, Timmy and his fairies break the rules all the time, to the point where we could literally be here all day if I just wanted to list out examples. Just for the sake of showing some more, here are a few. In Ruled Out, Timmy wishes his...
List the main source of it. Don't list everything, because if you didn't, bro, we're gonna be here hearing about every single rule we can't do. And I'm not trying to hear that.
Parents couldn't care less about him, violating the rule against interfering with love. In
Cosmo,
Cosmo hits his head and briefly believes that he's become a weenie. That's part witch, part genie. He proceeds then to grant several rule-breaking wishes to Timmy's dad, including wishing for money, thereby breaking the rule on counterfeiting. The rule against cheating in competitions? Yeah, that one's basically broken every other episode, like in Foul Bald, Superbike, Movie.
So you're telling me you can't wish for more money and you can't wish to win a competition, but didn't Timmy Mom win money and Timmy win a competition? So now I understand. Y'all lying about the rules.
Magic, just to name a few. That last one actually is my favorite example of rule breaking because Cosmo literally rips a page out of his copy of the rules that forbids him from helping Timmy, thereby implying that fairies can basically ignore any rule if they so choose. But perhaps the most egregious example of breaking the rules is mentioned in Hassle in the Castle, when it's revealed that Cosmo and Wanda's most infamous former god kid
abused our magic, took out Archduke Ferdinand, and plunged the world into World War I.
So that's why y'all settle with Timmy, because Timmy is not that type of god kid to actually do something like that. But if Timmy was that type of god kid, would y'all ever stay with him?
Even without wishing directly for the death of the Archduke, World War I caused 20 million deaths and 21 million injuries.
Yeah, World War
Let's say
I
that one caused a net
21
negative of
million
joy.
injuries?
So, something suspicious is going on with these rules. These things are supposedly super
got you.
important,
Something
unbreakable, potentially
devious is something
world-ending,
that
yet they're
happens.
broken all the time.
There's like probably like one rule in the rule books that will actually shout the rule for good.
They're
I
alive.
don't know
I've
what
proven
that
my
rule
thesis.
is.
Film theory becomes film fact. Thanks, everyone. Let's wrap it
Yeah,
early. Slap
instead
on
of
dark
film
truth
theory,
and big old
film
red text
fact.
on a thumbnail and
Instead
ship
of the
it.
dark truth,
Not quite.
because
Sure, at this point, we've proven that the rules are full of lies and you can
I don't
break them
know
pretty
what
much whenever you
we're gonna
want,
call
but
it.
we're still left with one major question. Why? If these things aren't real and they're not being enforced consistently, then why are they here at all? It can't possibly be
why
because
are
it's a cartoon
they
for
here
children
anyway?
and breaking the rules would
Yeah,
make for easily manufactured.
The theory is not going to actually enforce the rule and put some paper to paper on the rule, then why is the rule book there anyway?
Drama? No, that's not it. See, the more I kept watching and digging into the lore of the series, everything started to point back to one person. The one magical creature in control of both the rules and the fairy world writ large, Jorgen von Strangle, self-proclaimed toughest fairy in the universe.
Yeah, he do claim that he is the toughest, the strongest, and the muscular fairy ever.
Jorgen is a major supporting character in the series, the guardian of the rules who knows them by heart so he can properly enforce them. He's also in charge of training fairies at his Fairy Academy boot camp, as well as assigning godparents to new god kids who need joy in their life. Basically, he's the fairy general of the fairy army.
I will send you back to the Fairy Academy for 1,000
He definitely is like the
But if he's such a pro of the fairy world, why is he propping up this book of lies? Well, everything starts to click into place thanks to 2 episodes. First, there's Schools Out the Musical, where the Pixies attempt to take over the fairy world.
I remember
these
that.
guys? They're the magical creatures
that was from like the movie, but I don't know what movie, and I don't know if it's from like TV show. It might be from a TV show, one of the episode, maybe from the movie. I don't know.
Obsessed with destroying joy and whimsy and replacing it with contracts,
Yeah.
boredom, and
They definitely
rules.
did do that.
Yeah, it's a bit suspicious, isn't it? In this episode, the Pixies find a sad infant clown named Flappy Bob, and they enact a 37-year anti-fun plan, acting as Flappy Bob's own godparents for decades. But instead of granting him every wish for clownish fun, they mold him into a boring...
Hold on. Isn't Flappy like 20-something? So, is there an age limit to how long the fairy should stay with the god kid? Cause if there's not, then that's definitely a lie. Huh? So y'all broke 3 rules.
Meanwhile, the Pixies trick Timmy into wishing that kids were in charge of the Earth in retaliation against all their rules and laws. But here's the problem. With kids now in charge, every fairy godparent is pulled back into fairy world because the kids no longer need them.
According to the rules, fairies can only be assigned to children in need.
And the rules also state that if Pixies are the last magical creatures on Earth...
children in need. But Timmy always in need because his parents always leave him. I don't understand this. Y'all are breaking multiple rules and only 934.
If they're granted control over the planet, which is exactly what happens. Has to be one of the worst case scenarios for the fairies, who basically only exist to bring joy to others.
Fairy could ever imagine.
Show. Your misery is like going to the movies.
This sequence of events raises a ton of questions. If fairies are kicked off the Earth and kids are suddenly in charge, why isn't wishing for that something that's explicitly listed in the rules? Meanwhile, all of this happened only because Flappy Bob was never granted a fairy godparent. Clearly, he was miserable during his childhood, and yet he got a pixie for some reason.
Oh,
I think this is the beginning of a beautiful...
That's why, instead of Flappy Bob getting a fairy, he got a pixie. So that's why they never actually admitted or actually wrote in the rule books.
7-year plan.
Why? Timmy was assigned Cosmo and Wanda because he didn't want to do chores.
He was.
I think an orphaned clown
Whoa. I thought it was because his parents collect him. Not because he didn't want to do chores. Alright, Timmy. You definitely need help. Because there's no reason for you to have a carbon one.
Couple out of him, you might be just a little bit higher on the priority list. Most importantly of all, though, how did Jorgen not see any of this coming? Remember, Jorgen is the custodian of the rules. He knows them inside and out, and yet he does basically nothing the hundreds of times that we see him getting broken throughout the show. As the trainer and assigner of new godparents, he should have known how miserable Flappy Bob was during his childhood and done something about it. Jorgen also isn't surprised when the Pixies reference that obscure loophole that gives him control of Earth in the rules, so he clearly knows that it exists.
Let us go! Timmy needs us!
No, it does not. According to the rules, fairies can only be assigned to children in need.
And as the guardian of the master copy of the rules, he's one of the only people who can change them as he pleases. So this should have been something that he rectified well before it became a problem. So why didn't he?
It should have been rectified.
Lying
and it should have been already on the rules.
Well, Jorgen didn't stop this precisely because he did see it coming. He wanted this to happen. He wanted the
Oh, Jorgen. There's no way. So you wanted this to actually happen? So you knew it was happening, but you did nothing, so you planned it and won it. Oh, wow, Jorgen.
Fairies pulled back into the fairy world. It's all part of a larger plan. At first, I thought that maybe Jorgen wasn't actually a fairy, but instead some sort of undercover pixie on the inside. I mean, he loves rules and enforcing them just like pixies.
Now we're pulling back the fairies so I can bring them pain.
But we learned...
Isn't that the same, what the pixie doing? Alright, Jorgen. I thought you were probably like the guardian of the book and anything, but now I understand. You're doing 10 times worse than just being a regular guardian of the book.
Definitively in the season 7 episode Cosmo rules that he's actually Cosmo's cousin, thereby proving that he's a fairy.
Say hello to your
Cosmo cousin?
deep, dark family secret-ish cousin.
Hey, I never understand Cosmo family tree. Like, Cosmo family tree was so, like, up and down for me. It like, I put 6 here, 7 here, and I go up and down. Alright, I was talking 6, 7
cousins.
So what then is his deal? Well, it all comes down to that second episode I mentioned earlier and then left unexplained until now for dramatic effect. You see, the last piece of the puzzle that brings everything together is the season 6 finale, Wishology. Here, we learned that the fairies weren't always the sweet, cute, cuddly creatures that we know of today.
In ancient fairy times, a fairy's main job was to fight, not frolic.
Basically, fairies were once a race of super soldiers at war with a force known as the Darkness, which was only defeated when thousands of fairy warriors combined their powers to create a neutralizing light. And even then, the Fairy Council prophesied that the darkness would one day return. They sent millions of the strongest fairy warriors out into the void of space to create an early warning system for Fairy World, should the darkness ever return. According to the lore of the series, that's exactly why there are stars in the sky. All those stars, they're fairies on the lookout. Now, that's a cool...
Do y'all ever believe that? Like, do y'all believe that the fairies, the biggest, stronger ones, were like the savior of the darkness or something? It's something like that. Like, go at night, look up in the telescope or look outside and look at the star and you see thousands of fairies. Like, and then come back to the video and tell me if that's true. Or tell me something that y'all believe about.
Its implications. Fairy World must have been devastated by this war with the darkness. If
millions
of them were sent into space at the end of the fighting just to be a warning system. That's not even thinking about how many died during combat. Their population has clearly dwindled to a point where the entirety of Fairy World can fit inside of a gumball machine.
Every fairy in Fairy World must be in here!
And it's not like fairies reproduce quickly either. In Fairly Odd Baby, Cosmo and Wanda's child Poof is born, and we learn that the last fairy child born before Poof was Cosmo himself.
It all started when the last baby was born in Fairy World. Me!
So basically, Poof is the last fairy to be born, but Cosmo was the last one before Poof.
And yet, in the Past of the Furious, we meet Cosmo and Wanda's very first godchild, the caveman credited with inventing the wheel. That means that, at minimum, another new fairy hasn't been born since at least the Paleolithic era 40,000 years ago. Even the fairy economy seems to be suffering, unable to fill positions in vital public services like law enforcement.
Isn't there supposed to be a good cop and a bad cop?
We had
And so Jorgen did what he thought he needed to do. He created a sham system that would eventually result in kids losing their fairies, and those fairies then having to return to the fairy world. For centuries, he's been tweaking the rules, trying to create a situation where...
for a century. He's been tweaking the rules and lying to us for years. In every episode, he's been lying and we never even actually paid attention to it.
God kids of Earth mess up so badly that the godparents have no choice but to abandon them. That's why he allowed the pixies to exploit the loophole. After kids become the dominant species on Earth, he's happy to pull all those fairies back to Fairy World. In the episode, we see him being put to work in real jobs that can help rebuild their infrastructure. He wants the fairies back to rebuild their population. Remember, before Poof, Cosmo was the last fairy child born, and he's older than the entirety of human civilization. In short, when humans came into being, production of new fairies stopped. And without the need to train godparents, there's a perfect excuse to turn the Fairy Academy into an actual fairy army boot camp. Jorgen knows that the darkness is going to return, and he's been spending his entire life preparing for it. That's why his physique is
so that's why he brought them back, because he's trying to train them just in case the darkness comes back again. Alright, I'm really interested in seeing more.
Much more like the fairy warriors of old, and why he immediately takes charge of the entire fairy world when the darkness returns, sending all the other fairies to be protected in the gumball machine as he tries his best to fight back. He begrudgingly teams up with Timmy, someone he loathes. He even sacrifices himself to make sure that Timmy can save the fairy world. That is his primary goal, no matter the cost. And here's the thing, his plan seems to work. Timmy is able to dispel the darkness by showing it love, thereby turning it towards kindness. And towards the end of the series, we learn that there's a shortage of fairy godparents, partially because fairies have begun pursuing careers within fairy world.
Due to overwhelming demand and fairies taking on better paying jobs, there is a fairy godparent shortage.
That said, Jorgen's plan didn't work well enough.
We realized Jordan's plan didn't work. Now we're going to see how Ryder became a billionaire. What Ryder done to the Paw Patrol.
Paw Patrol is a team of 6 puppies led by a 10-year-old boy named Ryder. Each pup has a specific set of skills based on emergency services. There's Chase the police officer dog, Marshall the
No, there are 2, not 1. It's Chase and Marshall. Everybody know that Marshall a fire pup because he a Dalmatian, and Chase is a police pup because of him being a Rottweiler.
Firefighter, Sky the aviation dog, Rubble the construction pup, Zuma for water rescue, and Rocky for garbage collection. Every once in a while you have a special guest dog make an appearance, like Everest the mountain pup, or Liberty the city pup, but for like 90% of episodes, this is our core team. And from there, each episode is pretty formulaic. They're hanging out in the city of Adventure Bay, there's some disaster like a windmill breaks or someone gets stuck in a cave, the Paw Patrol are called to
actually see them go to like our person to like help out or other like state besides this in the city. It's always been something happening in the city.
Action, they suit up, we hear this line.
Ready for action, riders, sir.
There's a mission brief, they slide down and load up into their specially designed pup-mobiles.
True.
And through some combination of skills, the day is saved and a lesson is learned. Usually the lesson for me is that a shocking amount of problems can be solved using a winch.
I'll need you to use your winch. Chase, I'll need you and your winch. I need your winch.
Why do you always need a winch?
Also, the more you watch, the more it becomes clear that they had no idea what to do with some of these pups. Marshall with his fire rescue equipment, total MVP. Rubble with his construction tools, best boy. Zuma the water dog, meanwhile, yeah, you can sit this one out, buddy. And the next one.
Yeah. Zuma can sit that out. Like, I can't lie. Zuma got the best one, but is it best? No.
And the next one. You know what? Just pose for the lunchbox. To be honest,
this
is one of the more bearable kids shows out there because it's self-aware and uses the formula for some really solid jokes. Like here, when aliens come to visit Adventure Bay, a whole can of worms I feel like I should probably unpack at some point, but not today. It slides down the lookout tower and launches into its vehicle like the pups do in each and every episode. Only here, because the formula demands it, it also gets its name shouted out. It's a nice touch. Then you got stuff like this. When
why did the alien get his name shouted out?
Construction dog Rubble gets trapped, the only one available to drive his rig is Zuma.
We need his truck to move the rest of the rocks once we get him out.
Zuma, on the double.
And he just proceeds
to... See, that's why their vehicles are fit to what the pup are. Because not a lot of pups know how to work each other. I see.
To fail. Zuma is just the butt of all jokes. Sure, the whole thing is designed around some very obvious merchandising opportunities, but just look how cool this thing is. I gotta get one for Ollie. We gotta get one for Ollie. But hey, at least the show.
If I had the money, y'all wouldn't even see me making any more video. Y'all might see me making more video in Sky if I had something like that.
Always aware of this fact.
Officially licensed Paw Patrol merchandise. This stuff sells like hotcakes.
It's funny because
when was that?
Isn't that right,
When did he ever say that?
That's right, Matthew. So tasty.
Now, the show already comes prepackaged with a lot of really obvious questions. How come the dogs are the only animals that can talk? Why doesn't Adventure...
That's crazy. You gotta show my question. Why the dog the only animal to talk? and why Adventure Bay always had a problem, and the pup is never seen nowhere else besides Adventure Bay.
Bay have a normal police force or fire department. When is Katie finally gonna admit that she has a crush on Ryder? Admittedly, the last one might just be me, but it is so obvious that they would be a total power couple. Anyway, those questions aside, there was one moment that really stood out to me. A moment in season 1 that caught my attention as just a little bit weird, and it prompted me to dig deeper. And oh boy, did that start leading me down the darkest possible path for this universe. One that convinced me beyond a reasonable doubt that the Paw Patrol is dead. And not in just a,
Hold on! Wait a minute, I thought you were saying they were all been AI. I didn't expect you to say all 6 of the main pup are dead.
This was a dream route or anything like that. I'm saying that within the canon of the show, Paw Patrol members have died and actively been replaced. So strap in, all you good pups, because this one is going to be a rocky ride. Ready for action, Ryder, sir, because Matt Pat is on the case. So the moment that got me to start digging deeper was from Season 1, Episode 9A.
Favorite TV show,
where we learn about how Rubble the construction pup came to join the Paw Patrol. Now, this is actually one of the very few origin stories that we get for any of the pups.
Yeah, it is good. The only origin story we got was Chase and Sky, but we only got it in the movie. We never got it in the show. So, for Rubble to have his own origin story in the show is crazy. So, we don't know about Marshall, Rocky, or Zuma origin story yet.
The only other one that we see is for Chase in the Paw Patrol movie, which I'll come back to later. In this episode, we learned that Rubble was actually the last member of the team to join. Basically, he was a stray puppy that needed to be saved. After the Paw Patrol rescues him, he winds up tagging along on their next mission to rescue a snowboarder trapped on a snowy mountain. When Ryder's shovel can't dig up the snow, baby Rubble steps in to save the day. That bravery winds up earning a spot on the team. He receives his signature pup tag, hard hat, and construction vehicle. Cue the end credits. You're all good, pups. But hold on. Look closer at what happens in the episode. Ryder calls the pups to the lookout for the mission briefing, which he does all the time. But check out the big screen. Do you notice the pup tags along the bottom? Fire is Marshall, the star represents Chase and the police force, recycling is Rocky, the propeller is Sky, the anchor is Zuma, but seriously, for as little as it's used, it might as well not be there. And of course, the rest is for Rubble. But this...
Why do you do Zuma that bad? Oh my god.
This is the first time that we've met Rubble. He was literally just saved by the team less than an hour ago, but he has a dog tag on the screen? A tag...
Saved less than an hour, and already a part of the Paw Patrol?
That he won't get until proving his worth at the end of the episode. His yellow segment is also already on Ryder's pup tag. How could it be there if they don't have a construction pup yet? The only way that this makes sense is if there was a construction pup prior to Rubble. Now, you'd be forgiven for thinking that this is an animation error or something, but the evidence proving that there's a pup prior to Rubble really starts to add up once you look for it. At the end of the episode, we see Ryder give Rubble his construction helmet, but if you look closely at the helmet, it has scrapes on it as though it's been used. This isn't a brand new helmet for a
No! I don't want to believe he's right, but in some case, he's definitely right.
Brand new profession within the Paw Patrol, this helmet used to be the last construction pup's helmet. Rubble is also given the construction rig, which also has wear and tear on the front of the bulldozer portion. See that paint wearing away? Again, it's been used before. More noteworthy though is the fact that Rubble's too small for the vehicle. And Ryder explicitly says that he's going to need to grow first before he can truly reach the wheel.
You have a little bit of growing to do before you can reach the steering wheel, but you'll get there.
All the other pups have vehicles that fit them perfectly. In fact, when other new pups join the Paw Patrol, like Everest, Tracker, and Liberty, their gear fits them perfectly the first time. So Ryder is clearly capable of making gear that fits Rubble when he's small, but he doesn't. Why? It must be some sort of hand-me-down.
Why? It's like, you make the gear to fit all the other pup, but come to Rubble, you don't got a gear for him. So, what are you trying to do?
Already had the equipment from the last construction pup available. Why make a whole new vehicle if there's a perfectly good one sitting there waiting to be used? And again, if you think I'm looking too far into this, here is the definitive proof that I'm right. You'll notice that each vehicle is numbered. Ryder's ATV is 1 because he's the leader. Chase is 2, Marshall 3, Sky 4, Rocky 5, Rubble 6, and Zuma 7. But did you notice a problem with that? We know out of these pups that Rubble is the last to join the team because during his story we see all the rest of the team. And yet here's his pupmobile numbered 6 of 7. This is proof that there was a puppy before Rubble doing his job. The numbers do not lie. Zuma being number 7 proves it. Hey, would you look at that? Zuma is finally useful for something.
I think I'm going too deep into this video with him, or he just blowing my mind and I'm not really thinking ahead of him or something. It's something like that.
Since you start to see of a former Paw Patrol, one that's no longer with us, one that no one speaks of. In season 1, episode 6B, Marshall attempts to break the record for the fastest fire pup. The implication here is that some dog held the record before him, but who? What other fire pups exist in this world? No municipality outside of Adventure Bay really.
What other pup existed before all of them? Because there's gotta be someone that was working with Ryder before Ryder got all of them.
Seems to use anything similar to a Paw Patrol. In the Paw Patrol movie, for instance, we start off with a semi-truck driving off a bridge. When Captain Turbot mentions the Paw Patrol, the truck driver has no idea what he's talking about. He's in shock when a puppy comes to rescue him.
Call the police! Call the fire department! Call everybody!
You're in Adventure Bay. Here, we call the Paw Patrol.
You gotta call the who?
Same thing happens at nearby Adventure City when the news actively reports on the arrival of the pups.
Guardians, heroes, cute little dogs in adorable outfits. Whatever you call them, the Paw Patrol were here to save the city.
The idea of a team of rescue dogs just isn't a normalized thing in this universe, which suggests that there was a Marshall before Marshall to be the record-setting.
There was somebody before Marshall, somebody before Chase, somebody before all of them.
Fire pup. In fact, take a look at the fastest fire pup trophy. It looks exactly like Marshall's fire engine, except Marshall doesn't have the record. Same vehicle, different pup, just like we saw with Rubble. But that's when you start to notice a really disturbing trend. All the pups are stray dogs. They're sad, they're scared, and they're alone. Then, and only then, are they enlisted by Ryder. We just covered Rubble's origin story.
Oh, no. It totally makes sense. Totally makes sense.
Story where he's a baby puppy in danger, but the same actually holds true for Chase the police dog. In fact, that's pretty much the main plot of the Paw Patrol movie. Chase's origin story is that
you don't really actually pay attention to Paw Patrol because it's so good and it teaches you a life lesson and you really don't pay attention. So why admire y'all do? Sit down with y'all kids, your brother, little brother, or little sister that are 5 and younger, and watch Paw Patrol. And then come back to the video and tell them what y'all actually caught in your Paw Patrol. It don't matter what season, what episode, it doesn't matter what the movie is. What did y'all catch? What made it catch your eyes?
He's a puppy that was abandoned on the street by his owners. He's almost hit by an oncoming car when suddenly he's rescued by a rider and recruited onto the team.
I know. You saw me and took pity on me.
Not at all. I chose you because you were the bravest pup I'd ever seen.
Later that same movie, Liberty is added to the team. Another stray dog that we see over the streets begging for food.
That don't make no sense.
Business, Tony.
Normally, if you look at the movie, you can tell where most of the pup comes from.
Every origin story that we have for new members onto the team, it's always the same. A lone dog with no connections and no home is enlisted to be
always the same. Lone dog, no home, no connection, no family, and then Riot come along.
Patrol member. Mountain Dog Everest, Jungle Dog Tracker. Yep, they're the exact same way.
I can't wait to meet them. It gets kind of lonely sometimes.
You watch the show, and I will tell you.
Friend nearby.
I'd like to make you an official member of the Paw Patrol.
Ryder collects abandoned, stray, and orphan dogs to add to his team.
Like, look, the other 3, I forgot their name, but they were abandoned. Right? They were abandoned, found by other people, and then they joined the Paw Patrol when Ryder came along.
Why? Well, here's where it all starts to come together. The missing pups, the new additions to the team, they're all expendable. That's why it's a rescue team made of dogs. Ryder doesn't use the pups for rescues because they're best suited for the task. He's using them because the risk of losing a human life is too great, and having puppies perform the rescues means minimum human casualties. If a dog dies trying to save someone from a house fire or a rock slide, they can be replaced. We actually do see this in real life.
No! That's what. Okay, Ryan. You're cruel in the mind.
Avalanche rescue dogs. When an avalanche occurs, dogs are sent out to search for anyone buried under the snow to dig them out. Unfortunately, this means that in some cases, dogs might be hit by the avalanche and not survive.
Sometimes.
But this also means that in the process, they've spared the lives of any humans that would have attempted the rescue instead. And who could be more expendable than lone stray dogs with no home wandering the streets?
I chose you because you were the bravest pup I'd ever seen.
No, Ryder. Be honest with yourself.
You Ryder, you need to stop doing all that.
Chose him because he was there, because he was unwanted and no one would miss him. In success, he becomes a top-tier rescuer. In failure, he's just another forgotten puppy that would have died on the streets anyway. And if he dies in the line of duty, well then he's celebrated as a fallen hero. He's the goodest of boys. And if there is any doubt that these dogs are in danger, just watch the show. The situations get perilous. In the movie alone, they're doing rescues at the top of collapsing buildings. A building, we're told, is the tallest one in the world. And in the show, sure, some episodes...
Wait a minute. So, in the movie, you can see them doing dangerous stuff. But then in the show, you don't really see them doing dangerous stuff, so you wouldn't know what they be doing.
Episodes are like, hey, we just saved a frog, or hey, we brought your school lunch back to you in time. But sometimes you have stakes where dogs are hanging on by their teeth from out-of-control hot air balloons. So how does any of this benefit Ryder? Well, financially, the cost must be far less than employing several police officers, builders, and lifeguards. The dogs are given treats as their payment at the end of each mission. Meanwhile, Ryder gets to keep all the cash for himself. No wonder he always...
Ryder! No wonder Ryder have all the money to get a new vehicle and get a new building for them. No wonder. I see where you throw your money at.
No job is too big, no pup is too small.
It's business. Of course they'll accept any job. The dogs really can't say no. And sure, Ryder attributes all the team's wealth to the merch, but government contracts tend to pay even better. This 10-year-old is literally part of the military-industrial complex.
Bro, at this point in time, this 10-year-old is making waves. This 10-year-old is making billions, almost trillion, more than the average adult could ever make.
He's expanding the operation. He's finding dogs in new cities and setting up Paw Patrol outposts around the world.
The Paw Patrol will always look out for Adventure City.
In fact, the Paw Patrol movie shows characters from the TV show actively commenting on the fact that only now is the Paw Patrol becoming more well-known.
And to think, I knew them before they were famous.
It's a $1 billion business built on the backs of puppies. Pups that are expendable. Pups that are following in the paw prints of other pups that came before them. Ones that died in the line of duty and have been swept away by history. That is the dark.
Come on, Ryder. How cool you gotta be to be doing all this?
Secret of the Paw Patrol.
Whenever you need a hand, just yelp for help.
The ones who should really be yelping are the dogs. Yelp Chase, Yelp Rubble. This here.
The one thing is, the dog have to be the one yelling for help, not the people.
You're the ones who are in the biggest trouble. You just don't realize it. You know,
they really don't realize it.
I'm talking to Ollie about this theory, at least for a while. But hey, that's just a theory.
Yo, if that video was wild, you haven't seen anything yet. I put my funniest reaction right here in this playlist, and YouTube thinks you will love this special video next. Click one of those, hit the sub button if you are new, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.